Okay, so this is going to be a standard versus high frequency comparison for the new servers that have come to Cloudways via Vultr. Now, apparently this has been in the works for some time, and I wanted to sort of break down my experience that I've had upgrading my websites to the new high frequency servers. So if you're unsure of Vultr, Cloudways, standard versus like all of these terms, just very quickly, Vultr is the servers for hosting your website and your web apps, and you can directly go to the Vultr platform and set up your system there. It is a little technical. Enter Cloudways, which if you don't host your websites through, I do recommend giving them a look because it brings this very easy to use interface and platform that you can access Vultr and their servers. And there are a number of other servers that you can actually pick from on the Cloudways platform. And then the standard and high frequency. So these are the types of servers. Vultr does have a few different options out there. Very basically, the two buckets of standard and high frequency. Standard is their entry level spec server, so it's got lower grade hardware. Still good, but it is just lower when you compare that to high frequency, which is their higher end spec server. I will leave a link in the description where you can actually look at the blog post from Cloudways, which will break down exactly the specs. So the processor and the RAM, everything that they actually use in their hard drives. Okay, so that's just a quick intro to what we're talking about. So I've run a test. If you haven't seen my blog post, I'll leave that in the description too, which I have gone through and tested 3 versions of WordPress websites. Just a baseline, a basic setup, and then a more larger setup with images and multiple pages and etc. To start to see the differences between standard and high frequency. Now, I did this test because I just wanted to see it for myself, and I've used Pingdom tools for the speed test. Now, I will just say that these are my results. It's going to be different for you. It's going to be different depending on your location of the server that you're trying and your needs. So with that all in mind, we'll go through and look at the specs. So very simple. The baseline, we've got standard and high frequency in front of you. So the standard, and I'll just explain that the baseline, this was a blank install of WordPress. So just running the default 2020 theme, no plugins besides the 2 default that come in to WordPress. So there's nothing, it's just a blank slate, basically. That's the whole point of this baseline, just to see what we'd get. So I'm basically ignoring a lot of the grading, the page size, and the requests, and just focusing on the load time, because I really do believe that that's all that really matters when it comes to these. So focusing on those 2 numbers, we have 143 for standard, and we have 95 for the high frequency. So a good improvement, okay? And just one other thing is I only ran these tests once, okay? I could have done them multiple times, but I wanted to do a quick test. So moving on to the basic setup. So this was installing a number of plugins, changing over to the Hello theme, and we've seen an increase along all areas. But again, just load times, we've got 340 milliseconds versus 104 milliseconds. So this trend of overall speed improvement is just continuing, where we're getting close to always like half the load time, so around that, which is quite significant. So moving on to then the multi-page setup. So this test was with, as the name implies, multiple pages, images. I loaded in an Astra theme. I used the starter templates, so it had multiple images, buttons, text, pre-populated, all of that. So more like a full website, what you would be accustomed to in your own build. So again, similar results. Our load time on the standard was at 854 milliseconds versus the high frequency load time, which was 492 milliseconds. So just following that trend at all sizes of the website, we are seeing the same across. which is good. That means it's consistent no matter the size of the website, which is quite cool. So overall, the results are in front of you. If you want to take a screenshot of that, or you want to have your own copy of that, whatever, you can pause it and you can do that. But that was my results that I found, which are showing very similar for everybody else who is doing these tests. So final thoughts about this high frequency. So there's a couple of things: the location of your server, the price, and sort of the time and effort to upgrade. So going through one by one, the location is important. So I'm in Australia, so my closest servers that we've got is in Sydney. And in that blog post that Cloudways released, they don't have 16 and 32 gigabyte options within Sydney. Now, I have very small websites that are running on my Cloudways and Vultr servers, so it's not a problem for me, and I don't see it becoming a problem in the nearby future by having to go to those increases of servers. So I don't see a problem for me with the location. Next, the price. So it's a bit more expensive to upgrade to the high frequency. So on the standard, it's $11 a month US, and then upgrading to the high frequency, it's $13 a month US. But you do get extra storage on top of your standard. So this is the baseline, by the way. Again, I'm just running a very small server. So the baseline is giving you 24 gigs on the standard, and you're actually getting 32 gigs of storage going up. So those speeds, plus even that little bit extra storage space of $2 a month US on top of the standard, feels just very like an easy option to pick that. So very much in favor of high frequency. And the last consideration to go for is that upgrade time and effort. So I've just added a note there: depending on the number of websites and the size of those websites, overall, I think that it's quite a low time and effort for you to put in. So again, I've only got a smaller number of sites, so the process of upgrading was very easy. Cloning the server and then changing the DNS for all the websites to redirect to those new websites on the high frequency. So it didn't take that long. Now, if you do have a number of websites and you do have a varying degree of size of those websites, that cloning process might take longer, plus the time of going through every single website to change the DNS and then to check if everything is running smoothly. So it's really, the time is doing your due diligence in testing and making sure that nothing else has gone wrong. So that's the only thing to consider that I would recommend if you are going to upgrade, especially if you've got a lot of client websites, to be very careful that nothing does go wrong. So spending more time in testing out all the pages, all the websites, okay? So overall, my sort of last thought, personally, it was a great upgrade. I've received good results on the front end of the website as much as on the back end. So using my page builders and using WordPress has been a lot faster experience. So it's given me good results. So for that reason, and everything we've looked at, I would recommend upgrading to high frequency if it makes sense to you, okay? And it might be a stage progress where if you are on standard and you are really considering high frequency, maybe clone your server and just update, a couple of websites just to test out that you are getting the results and it is working for you before you commit to changing all of your client websites over. And you might have to do it on a client by client basis, and obviously that's up to you and your own domain. However, I still think it is worth the time and the effort to have that all up and running. And apparently it's been giving other people great results as far as ranking in Google. They've seen a good increase in page ranks. So there's the whole SEO side of benefits too. So yeah, a lot of cool things. I'm very grateful to Cloudways for making this available on their platform. I'm a big fan of this sort of thing. So I would love to know what you are thinking. Are you going to stay with standard? Are you going to go high frequency? I would love to get your thoughts, and if you found this video interesting, let me know, because I'd like to do more content like this. However, I will leave a link to my first walkthrough of Elementor 3.0, which I think if you're watching this video you might enjoy. So I'll leave a link to that there, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much.